Online platforms or intermediaries enjoy what is known as safe harbor under Section 79 of the Indian IT Act, meaning they're not liable for the content that users create and post on them. This was meant to protect people's freedom of expression and to keep platforms a neutral space for free speech. However, if an intermediary starts deploying algorithms towards editorial discretion, then it no longer functions as a neutral forum and takes on the role of a publisher. And we're living in times when platforms algorithmically recommend content, personalize our feeds, searches, comment sections even, in ways that we don't really see or choose to. This has been happening for two reasons. One, platforms realized that the freedom of speech that they were trying to enable through the idea of a global public square is not absolute. It comes with responsibilities, especially given the scale of influence and misuse. So they had to eventually start setting editorial controls and content moderation processes to ensure trust and safety. Two is the gradual discovery that personalizing content is the elixir to unprecedented revenue generation. Both these reasons currently favor the platforms and authoritarian governments, the two mammoth seats of power, and not the people who are the least powerful in this equation. What people discover, see, and learn and propagate further online are predetermined by algorithms based on our online activities and behavior. Now, this is unlike any other media in the past that have influenced people in good and bad ways because they were much more passive and had geographical limitations. The information ecosystem that people rely upon greatly today for work and life is algorithmically manipulated. It is structured to isolate us in our thinking, beliefs, and perceptions of the other and reinforce stereotypes, stoke fear, and keep anxieties kindled because all this has been proven to make people constantly engaged online and therefore more useful as consumers. This incentive taps into people's weaknesses and transfers power to the platforms. This has been established several times over globally and has led to tightening of regulation of platforms' operations elsewhere, including the recent review of Section 230 of the Communications Decency Act in the US, which is the equivalent of our Section 79, that grants immunity to platforms for third-party content. They acknowledge that Section 230 was meant to nurture innovation in the early years when the internet was dramatically different from what it is today. So now this has to change. The safe harbor situation in India has also long become redundant, but we have failed to catch up on various fronts. Firstly, India is a huge market of opportunity for all the global platforms that operate here. While this is great for innovation and development, there are also no actual implementable guardrails preventing malpractices, dark patterns, and a slow subliminal hijack of civic sense making. Secondly, we're a far more diverse and ethnocentric country, and interpretations of free speech online are as muddy as they come. The facade of regulating harmful content in such a complex culture unfortunately ends up giving undue power to the government to decide who gets to say what and who gets heard by whom. The government taking on the mantle to decide what qualifies as misinformation or classifying anti-national speech are all problematic trends. These further enable censorship and erasure of net neutrality. And this is not just one government. Many governments across the world and across history have harnessed available technologies of the time to grab and hold power, create propaganda, surveil and control their citizens. With AI-enabled information and communication technologies, the scale, consequence, and opacity take that trend to another level. Making people-first policies doesn't have to come at the cost of growth and innovation. So what should we pay attention to? Firstly, tech access and tech education must reach down to the grassroots, and innovation should truly represent India. To get to addressing the digital and innovation divide, we can begin with policymaking involving all stakeholders, multidisciplinary experts, and people from the affected communities. Secondly, holding platforms accountable. They're not new to safety by design principles, something that they abide by to an extent in some other countries. Because content takedowns are reactive and selective, and no amount of moderation stats can match preempting and preventing bad outcomes. It's like how health drinks have been pumping sugar into children while misleading you through inaccurate labels and advertising, which recently the Supreme Court had passed a verdict on. Sales and consumption goals cannot come at the cost of public health, right? Thirdly, transparency in policy making. The government unilaterally introducing bills based on closed room discussions with minimum windows for public consultation is anything but a democratic process. Freedom of expression cannot be selective. The market will continue to incentivize economic growth over ethical practices, but it is up to the government to protect people's interests.